Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umilitam Yena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. The following video series is a summary of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Also included are His in-depth commentaries known as purports. These purports unpack the often complex and symbolic language of the text, making it understandable to a wider audience. The Srimad Bhagavatam, also known as the Bhagavata Purana, is considered the most important of sacred scriptures. Composed around 5,000 years ago, it is considered the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature and the original commentary on the Vedanta-sutra. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva. He is also the compiler of the Vedas, classified as a Purana, a vast genre of ancient stories and knowledge encompassing history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Srimad Bhagavatam includes stories of avatars, creation narratives, lives of saints and sages, philosophy discourses, and practical guidance for spiritual life. Divided into 12 cantos with over 18,000 verses covering 10 subject matters. 1. The elemental creation. 2. The secondary creation. 3. The planetary systems. 4. Protection by the Lord. 5. The creative impetus. 6. Manvatars. 7. The science of God. 8. The dissolution. 9. Liberation. And 10. The supreme shelter. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, chapter 25, text 143 and 144, Lord Chaitanya, speaking to Prakrisananda Saraswati, tells him. Translation. The meaning of the Vedanta-sutra is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. The full purport of the Mahabharata is also there. The commentary of the Brahma Gayatri is also there and fully expanded with all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Supreme Purana. It was compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. There are 12 cantos, 335 chapters, and 18,000 verses. Canto 8, chapters 1 through 8. Chapter 1. The Manus, administrators of the universe. Maharaj Pariksit asked Sukadeva Goswami to describe the other Manus and how the Lord appears in different ages. Sukadeva recounts the first 4. Swayambhuva Manu had daughters whose sons were Kapila and Yagna. Yagna later became Indra after saving Manu from demons. Parosika Manu, son of Agni, saw the Lord appear as Bibhu, who taught 88,000 sages about austerity. Uttama Anu, the son of Priyavarta, witnessed the Lord's incarnation as Satyasena, who destroyed Yakshas and Rakshasas. Tamasa Manu, Uttama's brother, ruled during the Lord's incarnation as Hari, who delivered the elephant Gajendra, an event Pariksit requests to hear in detail. A verse from chapter 1 is text 10. Atma vashamidam visvam yatkin jagat yam jagat tena tyaktena bhujita magrihat kashyasvid dhanam. Translation. Within this universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His Super Soul feature is present everywhere, wherever there are animate and inanimate beings. Therefore, one should accept only that which is allotted to him. One should not desire to infringe upon the property of others. Chapter 2. The Elephant Gajendra's Crisis. This chapter begins the famous story of Gajendra Moksha, the deliverance of the king of elephants. In the midst of the ocean of milk lies the magnificent Trikuta mountain, where a beautiful garden and lake were created by Varuna. One day, the chief of the elephants, Gajendra, entered this lake with his herd of female elephants to enjoy the water. A powerful crocodile, the chief of all the aquatic animals in that lake, seized Gajendra's leg. This began a ferocious battle that raged for 1,000 years. Over time, the elephant grew weary and weak, while the crocodile's strength and confidence increased. Finally, seeing no other hope for his life, the elephant surrendered completely to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for protection. This act of ultimate surrender sets the stage for his miraculous rescue. A verse from chapter 2 is text 32. Namam ime gantaya aturam gaja kuta karya prabhavanti mochitam grahena pasena vid hatur avrito pyaham chatam yami param parayanam. Translation. The other elephants, who are my friends and relatives, could not rescue me from this danger. What then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile, and therefore I shall seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always the shelter of everyone, even of great personalities. Chapter 3. Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. In this chapter, the elephant king Gajendra, formerly a human named Indradyumna, remembers a prayer he learned and begins to chant it. He offers humble obeisances, acknowledging the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, from whom everything emanates. Gajendra praises the Lord's transcendental nature, stating that while the Lord controls the material world through his external energy, he remains eternally situated in the spiritual world. Moved by Gajendra's selfless prayers, the Supreme Lord Narayan, mounted on Garuda, personally appears. Seeing him, Gajendra offers his obeisances with his trunk. The Lord immediately pulls the elephant from the water, kills the crocodile, and thus rescues Gajendra, demonstrating his promise to protect those who surrender to him. A verse from chapter 3 is text 1. Sri Badarayana Uvacha Evam Vasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohidi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragyan Manyanuksi Sitam. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, Thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind and his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradyumna, and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Chapter 4. Gajendra returns to the spiritual world. This chapter reveals the past lives of both Gajendra and the crocodile. The crocodile was previously a Gandharva king named Huhu. While enjoying in the water with women, he disrespected the sage Dayavira Rishi by pulling his leg. Enraged, the sage cursed him to become a crocodile. Huhu begged for forgiveness, and the sage gave him a benediction that he would be freed from the curse when he was killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who would deliver an elephant. The elephant king Gajendra was a human being named Indradyumna in his previous life. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, who retired from family life to perform silent worship. However, he once failed to properly receive the sage Agastya Rishi, who, in anger, cursed him to become a dull elephant. Although he forgot his past life, his ingrained devotion was revived when he faced death. In that moment of extreme danger, he remembered the prayer he had learned and surrendered to the Lord. Pleased by his devotion, the Supreme Lord not only killed the crocodile, freeing him from his curse, but also granted Gajendra Swarup Mukti, the liberation of receiving a spiritual body with 4 hands, just like the Lord's own associates. Sukadeva Goswami concludes the chapter by stating that anyone who hears this narration of Gajendra's deliverance can also attain liberation. A verse from chapter 4 is text 6. Gajendro Bhagavat Sparsad Vimukto Jnana Bandhanat Prapto Bhagavato Rupam Pita Vasas Chatur Bhuja. Translation. Because Gajendra, king of the elephants, had been touched directly by the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was immediately freed from all material ignorance and bondage. Thus he received the salvation of Swarup Mukti, in which he achieved the same bodily features as the Lord, being dressed in yellow garments and possessing 4 hands. Chapter 5. The Demigods appeal to the Lord for protection. This chapter describes the 5th and 6th Manus and introduces the famous story of the churning of the ocean. The 5th Manu was Raivata. The sons of Raivata included Arjuna, Bali, and Vidya. The 6th Manu was Chakshusha. His son was Puru, Purusha, and Subyumna. The narrative then shifts to the story leading up to the churning of the ocean of milk. The demigods, having been cursed by the sage Drubas Muni, were greatly weakened and subsequently defeated in battle by the Asuras. Stripped of their heavenly kingdom, the demigods, led by Indra, went to Lord Brahma for help. Brahma, in turn, led them all to the shore of the ocean of milk to pray to Kshirodakshai Vishnu for a solution. This sets the stage for the churning of the ocean, which Parikshit Maharaj was eager to hear about. A verse from chapter 5 is text 30. Nayashya kachititari mayam yaya gyano muyati vedatnartham tam nirjitat matma guna parisam namama bhutesu samancharantam. Translation. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusionary energy, Maya, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. That same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone and who is equally disposed toward all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him. Chapter 6. The demigods and demons declare a truce. This chapter details the Supreme Lord's appearance before the demigods and his instructions for churning the ocean of milk. After the demigods prayed to Lord Vishnu, he appeared before them. Overwhelmed by his brilliant effulgence, they couldn't initially see him. However, once Brahma and Shiva could perceive him, they offered prayers, glorifying him as the eternal, all-pervading, and transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead. They acknowledged that he is the source of all universes and can only be understood through bhakti yoga or devotional service. Pleased by their prayers, the Lord, known as Ajita, the unconquerable, advised the demigods to form a truce with the demons to churn the ocean of milk. He instructed them to use Mount Mandara as the churning rod and the great serpent Vasuki as the rope. He warned them to accept both the desirable things and the dangerous poison that would arise from the churning, assuring them that Shiva would take the poison. Following the Lord's counsel, the demigods made peace with the demons, and they began to move the mountain. When the great weight of the mountain exhausted them, the Supreme Lord Vishnu appeared on Garuda's back. He revived the fallen demigods and demons, then effortlessly lifted the mountain with one hand. He placed it on Garuda, who then carried it to the ocean. The Lord then asked Garuda to depart so that Vasuki, a natural enemy of Garuda, could approach and act as a churning rope. A verse from chapter 6 is text 12. Yatam gim ed yasa amritam chagosu bhuvyanam abu yamane chavitim yogair manusya adhiyanti tvam gunesu buddhya kavayo vadanti. Translation. As one can derive fire from wood, milk from the milk bag of a cow, food, grains, and water from the land, and prosperity in one's livelihood from industrial enterprises, so, by the practice of bhakti yoga, even within this material world, one can achieve your favor or intelligently approach you. Those who are pious all affirm this. Chapter 7. Lord Shiva saves the universe by drinking poison. This chapter describes the dramatic event of Lord Shiva drinking the deadly poison that emerged from the churning of the ocean. After a truce was made, the demigods and demons began to churn the ocean of milk using Mount Mandara as the rod and the serpent Vasuki as the rope. The demons took the head and the demigods took the tail, but the mountain, lacking support, sank. The Supreme Lord then appeared as a giant tortoise and dove deep to hold the mountain on his back, allowing the churning to continue. As they churned, a huge amount of deadly poison, kalakatu, was produced. The poison's fumes caused immense distress and fear among all beings in the universe. With no one else to help, the demigods approached Lord Shiva and offered him prayers. Lord Shiva, known as Asutosh, one who is easily pleased, saw their distress. He gathered the entire quantity in his palm and drank it. This act turned his neck bluish, earning him the name Nilakanta, blue throat. A small amount of poison spilt from his hands, giving rise to all poisonous creatures and plants on earth. A verse from chapter 7 is text 42. Tata karatali kritya vyapi halahalam visham abhaksayam mahadeva kripaya bhuta bhavana. Translation. Thereafter, Lord Shiva, who was dedicated to auspicious, benevolent work for humanity, compassionately took the whole quantity of poison in his palm and drank it. Chapter 8. The Churning of the Ocean of Milk. After Lord Shiva drank the poison, the churning of the ocean resumed. The demigods and demons worked together, and one by one, wonderful treasures emerged. First, a divine Surabi cow was produced, which was taken by the sages. Then, the celestial horse Uchanashvara and the majestic elephant Aravrata appeared. The demigods then received the brilliant Kastupa gem and the wish-fulfilling Parijata flower. Finally, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, emerged. After carefully examining all present, she chose Lord Vishnu as her eternal husband, placing herself on his chest. The churning continued, and the partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Dhanvatari, appeared holding a pot of nectar. Immediately, the demons snatched the pot and began fighting amongst themselves for possession. Seeing the demigods distressed, Lord Vishnu reassured them. To retrieve the nectar for the demigods, the Lord then manifested as the enchanting Mohini Murti, the most beautiful woman in the universe. A verse from chapter 8 is text 24. Tashyam sadesa usatim navakanjamalam madyan madurata varunta giropagustam tassanidaja nikate tadurasvadama savriddahasa viksana nayane nayata. Translation. Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the goddess of fortune placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which was surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. Then, expecting to get a place at the bosom of the Lord, she remained standing by his side, her face smiling in shyness. That's the end of chapters 1 through 8. Hare Krishna.